Okay, now we're taking a look at the third page. If we look, we're being asked to find the interval at which the function is greater than 0. Now, the most expeditious way of doing this is just to plug it in on the calculator. You already know a few things already. So you're going to say, okay, this is x minus 3, and you're dividing it by x. When you graph it, you see that at its asymptote, all of a sudden, you have a split. Now you're looking for where it is positive. Well, it is positive until you approach the asymptote, and then after the asymptote you come out on the bottom. Then it is negative for a time until you approach the 0 of 3. Then it is positive again. So you know that from 3 on, the function is greater than 0, which means that A and D all of a sudden become very good contenders. This eliminates C and B from consideration. Now, the only difference between A and D is an open dot. An open dot means the function is not defined at that point. And for that, we go to our table. And if you look, the function evaluated at 0 gives you an error. It means the answer choice is D, because at 0 the function is undefined. Here, the function has a value, according to this number line. So that is why we eliminate A from consideration, because you needed an open dot, not a closed dot. Now, for number 9, it's a very similar problem to the open response question with the bathtub, except x is going to be the moment in time. Now, in this case, it takes Mike 6.5 hours to do the same job as Carl. We can eliminate A and C from consideration. So which equation shows how long it will take the boys to complete the one job if they work together? In this case, both B and D should work. However, B was considered the correct response. If you thought D was the right answer and you put that, I will be happy to take your argument into consideration. Okay, let's take a look at D. Or at 10. You have the question of the motorboat. The motorboat goes 36 miles upstream on a river that's current running at 3 miles each way. Trip there and back takes 5 hours. So what you do is you take your distance, 36. First, upstream, you are fighting the current. So that's x minus 3 plus 36 times x plus 3. And that is going to equal to 5 hours. Now this one's a little bit of a pickle because you've got some quadratics going on, but that's alright, we'll handle it. So, to cancel the denominators, you will multiply by the product of the denominators. So what you will do is you will multiply both the left and the right side by x plus 3 and x minus 3. So here the x minus 3's cancel, leaving you with 36 times x plus 3. Here the x plus 3's cancel, leaving you with 36 x minus 3. And here we FOIL these to find that this is actually 5 times x squared minus 9, because this is actually the difference of squares. Do the distribution. You have 5x squared minus 45 is equal to 36x plus 36 times 3 plus 36x minus 36 times 3. Rather than actually evaluating 36 times 3, which is 90 plus 18, which is 108, which is annoying, we can leave them as such and just cancel them out because one is positive and the other is negative. So now you've got 72x is equal to 5x squared minus 45. Now at this point you can turn it into a standard form quadratic by subtracting 72x from both sides. And so you have the standard form quadratic 5x squared minus 72x minus 45 is equal to 0. Now, rather than actually going through all of the horrible travails of the quadratic formula, which, while fun, would also prove painful and time-consuming, we are better off simply by graphing the quadratic. And so you will plug in your 5x squared minus 72x minus 45, and you're going to see where it hits 0. Now, we already have a decent range, so what you can do is you can go to your window and change your x values from 0 to about 20. The y values are fine. We know that this is going to be a positive parabola, and that's okay. So we're going to graph it. Here's our first root. The other root is negative, and we don't really care about it because it's going to be too hard for us to come by it anyway in a short frame of time. So at this point, you use your calculator to trace the point of intersection. So you go second and trace. Actually, you don't even need to do that. Go to your table. Now, we know that this is going to occur somewhere between 9 and 20. So we had our first 0 where x is equal to 15. And just to double check, we'll go all the way to 20, and we find there are no other zeros. So since y is equal to 0 at 15, we don't need to beat the dead horse anymore. That point of intersection is, in fact, where x is equal to 15. Number 11, I don't want to say it was an insult to your intelligence, but it was. Which ordered pair is not in the solution set of the inequality? Well, what you do is you just plot the points and figure out if it's in the shaded region or not. So you first go to negative 2, 0. Well, negative 2, 0 is clearly in the shaded region, so that one's out. Same with 0, negative 2. Same with 0, negative 1. Negative 2, 0 is right on the dot, dot, dot line, and so it's high. Do you recognize that if you're on the dot, dot, dot line, you are not actually in the solution set? And so the correct response was D. Now the next one is a little bit more interesting. You notice you have an exclusive inequality here. So that means you're going to have an open dot at 7 for two reasons. One, because it's an exclusive inequality, and also 7 minus 7 is 0, and you can't divide by 0. You will probably also have an exclusive inequality marker here at 3, because negative 3 on top, you should have a 0 there. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to bring your window back to normal. So you're going to go zoom standard. And then you're going to get rid of that last parabola we just drew. By the way, there's the negative root for the one that we weren't looking for. And then we're just going to set up our little table. In the interest of time, I'm not messing with the fraction trick. I'm just going to do x plus 3 divided by x minus 7. And be sure to put the parentheses, otherwise it's going to look like crap. Now, when we go to the graph, or actually if we go to the table, we need to go back to where x is equal to negative 3. And you notice where x is negative 3, you have positives at negative 4 and 5, and then you have negatives until you get to the asymptote. You've got negatives until you get to the asymptote, after which time it becomes positive again. And so it should make an inequality that looks like this. After that, what it is simply asking you for is, hi, do you recognize what an inequality looks like? Well, here we have the inequality that x is less than negative 3 and that x is greater than 7. If you want to be meticulous about that, you can actually say, okay, negative infinity less than x less than negative 3, and 7 is greater, or 7 is less than x. Sorry, 7 is less than x less than positive infinity. And that's what you've got going on there. Take a look at the other two pages in just a little bit. I think that's a good stopping point.